Hey guys, Sinister here at BadCompanyGaming, and I'm sorry it's been a while since my last video. But anyway, today's topic is going to be how to be effective with burst weapons. It's a general idea of how to use them, but as I will explain, pretty much the only way to be truly effective with burst weapons is just straight up experience with them and whether or not they fit into your playstyle. Alright, so to get into it, the first thing that you're going to notice whenever you pick up a burst weapon is that your first shot recoil multiplier is actually on the third shot of your burst, which means it's going to kick harder at the end of your 3-round burst than at the beginning, which means that you should be able to pick off some crazy one burst headshots in close to medium distance with something like an M16, pretty much lending you an immediate advantage over anyone that would have to control an automatic weapon on those headshots, whereas you just line up the headshot, tap the trigger, and you're pretty much good to go with the M16. Now, I've said it on several different videos on my old channel, I'm not sure about this one, but the M16A4 is my favorite weapon in Battlefield 4, hands down. Even though it is a burst weapon, it's a total skill cannon. If you can dedicate to it and learn its bursting pattern, you can be more effective than someone with an M416. And the same thing with the M4 Carbine, just you get to use it on all classes and it does a little less damage at long range. But for the most part they're basically identical, so those two weapons are going to be the center focus point of this video. So what do I recommend for attachments? Now a lot of people are going to say run an angled grip on the M16 to help fight that. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Run the vertical grip on it, trust me, because the M16 is an assault rifle, so it only has a 1 for the aim down sights while strafing accuracy, which means that it can definitely use some help in that category from the vertical or ergo grip. Now if we're talking about the M4 Carbine, it gets a 0.8 aim down sights while strafing accuracy, so you can actually run an angled grip on it and be slightly more effective as a general combination compared to that of the M16 in that combination, which obviously they're not identical, so running them with a little bit of a different setup is going to give you that actual bit of differential, so you can tell pretty much immediately the difference in the playstyle of the two weapons, primarily the class balance, but you know what I'm saying. So run the vertical or ergo grip. For the most part, no recoil mitigation system I think is even close to necessary, and the heavy barrel is the opposite of necessary, so I would say run with something like a flash hider or a suppressor in this category, and of course my trusty Cobra red dot sight. And as you guys know, I'm not a huge fan of laser sights, so I don't have a laser or flashlight equipped to my rifle most of the time, and I'm just running with my most effective setup in this particular video clip here. So yeah, once you equip the rifle correctly, which is going to take some doing to get your flash hiders and stuff like that unlocked for the rifle, it's gonna be phenomenal. And like I said, it takes some dedication. The mastery Dogtags really don't mean a whole lot for a lot of weapons in the game, but for burst weapons, whenever you get the mastery Dogtags, that means that you're just now gonna be starting to become your most effective with it. It literally takes a whole bunch of practice, because you have to learn the perfect timing for the burst interval so that in close quarters you can get it to fire basically automatic. Now I'm going to discuss some of the advantages of burst weapons that a lot of other mainstream YouTubers, not to point any names out, but Rival X Factor, Level Cap Matemio, Luton, those guys, they don't mention a few things that burst weapons have an extreme advantage on over automatic weapons. One of these things is the spread inflation factor. The spread increase per round factor affects for how long you're holding down the trigger, how accurate your weapon is. If you guys know, if you stay on the trigger through an entire M416 magazine, at the end of it you're going to be like ridiculously inaccurate to the point where you should have just been hip firing the dude if you're having this much trouble. But that's just because of the spread increase per round factor. Burst weapons do not suffer from this near as much because, once again, it's a 3-round burst, so at the end of that burst it's going to resettle just a little bit before the next burst starts, so it's going to stay ahead of the spread increase per round factor a lot better than staying on the trigger with an automatic weapon. Even if you're spam firing the M16 basically to get it to fire automatic, it's going to have a little bit of recovery time, and it's going to be just a little bit more effective over long spammy magazine dumps as opposed to the M416. Another thing that burst weapons have the insane advantage of, which I mentioned just a little bit ago, if you line up a headshot at 20 yards, as long as you know your recoil compensation, 1 or 2 bursts, pretty much they're almost completely done for. And the same thing goes for close quarters with like hip firing. If you can line up that headshot, there's nothing that they can do. And even if they try to line up a headshot with an automatic weapon, it's not going to be a simple tap of the trigger, get the headshots, and you're on your way like it would be with basically a shotgun. It is almost what it turns into if you can land that headshot in close quarters, because you can get it pretty much back to back to back to back to back whenever you're lining up headshots with the M16, which is going to make you even more effective if you can learn to aim for the head with this rifle. So now that I've sort of touched on some of the advantages of burst weapons, what are the disadvantages? Well, you have to constantly tap the trigger button, which means it's going to screw up your aiming a little bit more than an automatic weapon. If you're just now starting out with burst weapons, this is something that once again you have to get used to, which is going to take some practice. Now luckily it doesn't bother me as much because I'm a console gamer, so my aim and trigger buttons are completely on different sides of the controller, so they don't really have a whole lot to do themselves. But if you're playing on PC, I could understand how trying to move the mouse while tap firing your burst weapon would be extremely annoying. Luckily I don't have to deal with this, but I can definitely see where a lot of PC players are coming from whenever they say that they don't like the M16 because it messes with their aim. I totally get it. It would just, again, be a matter of practicing it and getting used to it. I'm going to apologize for my sort of raspy and flat voice. I'm very, very tired right now recording this commentary. So if I do sound a little bit off, that's what's up with that. It's just very tired for today, so it's going to sound a little bit wonky. But yeah, I feel like I need to give you guys a short explanation for why I haven't been putting out any videos. I just haven't felt like playing the game, and because my capture card is still down, which I'm about to order another one, so that should be here by next week. It's hard to stay motivated to play the game, which makes it very hard to remember to make a YouTube video. So, and besides that, I mean, until Battlefield Hardline comes out, there's not a whole lot really that I can touch on Battlefield that I haven't talked about in a previous video. So content creation is going to sort of slow down to maybe a 2 videos per week rate instead of how fast I was doing it previously, where I would put out 4 or sometimes 5 videos a week. That's over, but that said though, I might start recording some like dual commentaries with other YouTubers, or just record some live reaction gameplay with Jim Dandy being retarded, funny moments videos, stuff like that. But it's gonna all be dependent on how well this new patch goes, which I've just downloaded to my console, that has the tick rate server fixed. So I'm gonna play some deathmatch and see how that goes. Maybe not tonight, most likely tomorrow, which actually I'm recording this Thursday night, but I know it won't be up probably till Friday afternoon sometime, so the time frame is all off. But anyway, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this quick little guide to how to use burst weapons most effectively. I gave you guys my favorite loadout for the M16, and pretty much the answer is just experience. It takes a lot of dedication to learn burst fire weapons, but if you will do it, it's definitely worth all the work that you gotta throw at it, because at medium to long distance it basically acts like a DMR, and in close quarters you can spam fire it and have that advantage of the spread increase per round factor not really affecting burst weapons. So hope to see you guys out there on the battlefield, and yeah, I'll check on you guys later. Take it easy.